Have you ever, like, I don't know if this was around or not. Have there been other, I guess, themes inspired by Oxygen or other attempts to revive it as, like, less official things that just somebody sort of playing around with the idea?
Oh, wow, yeah, I'm actually glad you asked that because when we were getting into this project, we actually saw a lot of third party like forks, repos, people working, doing really good stuff. And we were just contacting all of them asking, hey, why don't you upstream this? Why not benefit the official Oxygen package?
Mhm.
So there is actually one person who was working on the Oxygen like Qt Quick style, so that it applies to all of these like apps like Discover, for instance. So you
Mhm.
get the gradient in the background. From what I know, it wasn't quite finished,
Hmm.
and the person said it wasn't in state to be upstream. But like for people working on forks of the Oxygen theme, if you have any fixes for them, like for instance with the accent color or something, just send in a patch and it benefits everyone really. Yeah.
Mm-mm. So, how many people at this point are kind of messing around with the theme? Because you mentioned you have like the person who was like the core designer of Oxygen involved in this, but how many other people are involved? And what are different people working on?
Oh man, Nuno Pinheiro, so he was the lead designer for Oxygen. He's doing so much work with Oxygen icons right now. He's produced, like, I don't have the number, but it's insane. If you look at the commit history, he's just generated so many, especially symbolic icons, so everything falls into place. And then he's helped by Pravin Kumar, who's also, who I think we also found was someone who had a fork, his own repo,
Hmm.
and he really fixed a lot of things up, especially with icons. And then he already had the know-how. He knew what needed to be fixed, and he sent in these patches. This was brilliant. And now, one of the biggest excitements I get these days is when I rebuild Oxygen icons and I see, oh, this has been fixed. That's been fixed.
Mm-mm-mm.
Yeah, there's this Telegram group, and there's also some other folks there that comment. Some might also join in with patches, but we also have these seasoned KDE developers that help around a lot. So it's a small group, I would say, but we get the job done because
Mm-mm.
a lot of this work has already been done, and I'm the face that's in front of you, but so many more people have contributed more
Mm-mm.
to Oxygen, and especially like I would point out these KDE developers for Plasma 5, Plasma 6 because they just did so quietly.
Mm-mm. Actually, I'm kind of curious specifically about Nuno Pinheiro. Like when you started working on this, like how did you contact him beforehand? Did you realize he was the one who had done the work? What was his sort of response to you wanting to bring this work back?
But yeah, I had of course known of him. I knew he was sort of in my mind. He was this design legend of Katie. I knew he was the lead designer for Oxygen. I saw him in some of the groups like the Visual Design Room from time to time, popped in, but never actually had a real chance to speak to them, work with them. Then what happened is when I started submitting these patches, and especially when I restored Air, and Nuno commented below, I would like to help with this. And then I got in touch. Hey, what do you have in mind? And then joined the group. And ever since then, it's been amazing, really. Also, a beautiful thing that came out of this is to get a chance to work with him and see how it does this. For instance, he's working on a camcorder icon these days. And when you see him, how he constructs all of these complex pieces of it, it's truly amazing.
That's awesome. No, that is definitely really cool. I honestly it's cool to see someone who's just excited about working on just a neat theme like this, right? It's not something that most people are going to like switch to, right? I don't think it's gonna be this, you know, sudden design interest shift where everyone wants to shift back to the Oxygen look, but I do think that it is a really cool theme, and I do like the fact that this is being brought into the modern era of Plasma and being something where even if it's something you just want to like try out and see, okay, what were they going for? And it's not exactly the same, but what were they going for with KDE4 and do I like this, right? Do I see something here? And I think something interesting is as a example for the people in KDE design, are there things that maybe we've gone too far with minimalism? Is there something we can learn from the work that we had done in the past that we can use to improve the design of Breeze today? Because I know there is certainly some interest within the design group to play around with some things in Breeze and improve some things. Like there's ideas that are always floating around, and knowing what you've done in the past can sort of, I guess, direct you for what to do in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think Breeze is at this moment pretty much more or less frozen, and it's going to be replaced by the Ocean theme.
Right, yeah,
So
sorry. Yeah, Ocean. Forgot about that one.
Ocean, yeah, sort of its successor, but not an iteration, but it's its own thing. Yeah, I think also this, as I said, this positive reaction to Oxygen. I think there's really a sizable amount of users who want these non-flat looks, maybe some glows, gradients, some depth, or whatever.
Mm-mm.
I don't think it's going to go back to to what it was, obviously, but it's in a weird sort of mixture state right now. Like you have this, for instance, what's the trend of liquid glass. It
Mm-mm.
does evoke that time, but again, it's its own thing. Then, for instance, material design, it seems to be more in this flat still trend. But yeah, I think these old themes they're useful, and the fact that people like them, I think, yeah, we can. It could be some of the things could be adapted for future themes.
Mm. On the topic of liquid glass, I know a lot of people had a very like negative reception to it, and I think there were definitely a lot of problems with it, with like contrast and things like that. The early looks of it were pretty rough, especially if you're using it on a light theme. It just, I don't think they really fully tested it before they let people play around with it, and that gave a very bad reception to it.
Right, because I also think times have changed. Back it was like I don't know 2008, and I don't know, maybe I don't remember, but people weren't firing up contrast checkers as much. I think things are there's a lot more sensitivity to accessibility these days.
Mm,
So if
mm.
you have legible text, I don't think some of the designs, like if you look at, especially from that Arrow era, they were super transparent, and then the text is a little bit hard to read. I don't think this can fly as any sort of default offering anymore. I'm not that acquainted with liquid glass, but from what I saw, the issue was, for instance, that like all of the icons turned to the same color. So you have on your phone, and there were colorful icons, and you could use these colors to locate your app, and if it's all the same color, from a usability point of view, although I do think it looks cool. It's one
Hmm.
of those like latest designs that at least I might not, co-sign it completely, but I'm intrigued by it. I
Right.
stop and look at it, just like at an old building, and you look at the weird faces on the facade.
Right. It felt like for a long time, designers were kind of afraid to try out anything, right? It was like, this is the design language, everything's flat, everything's a single color. And even if it's not something everyone vibes with, I like the fact that they at least are trying something and
Mhm.
trying to like diverge from what everyone else was doing.